Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing great. So today we'll be having an amazing guy with us whose name is Johnny Time, who is a great smart contract auditor by profession and also a great teacher. So I'll be sharing his course in the description down below, which is with the name of Smart Contract Hacking. So you guys can definitely check that course out if you want to become a smart contract auditor. And it's really nice of him to give us the valuable time and come and join me on this podcast. So without a further ado, let's welcome Johnny. Hello Johnny, thanks for joining in. I hope you are doing great.
Hello there. Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm also doing great. So first of all, basically I would like you to introduce yourself if you want.
Yeah, so my name is Johnny. I'm a smart contract auditor, educator in the Web3 space. I have 12 years of experience of tech background, cybersecurity background, started from Web2 cybersecurity and shifted towards Web3 cybersecurity. Also plenty of years of experience in blockchain technology. I started learning Solidity back in 2017 and got more in depth into DeFi protocols as a user in 2020. That's also when I started my YouTube channel, where I shared my journey and tips of how I'm using DeFi as a user. And obviously, because of my tech background, I was interested in the smart contracts and how the DeFi protocols work, if it's Uniswap, PancakeSwap, Compound, and etc. And I was starting reading those smart contracts and was very interested of the fact that everything is open source and on chain. And yeah, and I shifted, and the natural thing happens where I shifted both my expertise in like cybersecurity and blockchain, and I started being interested in Web3 security and smart contract hacks and vulnerabilities that were happening. And I saw there is a huge gap if it's like in skilled auditors and also in education in the space. There were plenty of courses and materials about smart contract development and full stack app development, but not many structured courses and training programs that train people like in traditional cybersecurity of becoming smart contract auditors, on-chain analysts, and etc. So that's where I am, smart contract auditor and educator in the space. And I'm glad to be here and to contribute to the security of Web3.
Yeah, that's great to know. And so actually, like as you have already mentioned that you are from a cybersecurity background, but that was Web2 based, right? So like what is the real motivation or reason behind shifting to the smart contract side and like the blockchain side of security, if you can tell?
So to be honest, I have a cybersecurity background and I was working for many years also in education. I was teaching in the IDF cybersecurity students, all traditional kind of attacks. If it's like web application hacking, forensics, malware analysis. Then in private colleges, once I finished my services in Israel, and then in Singapore, I was training Singaporean soldiers how to do defensive cybersecurity. But then in 2020, my focus shifted completely to Web3 and blockchain because I was amazed by the technology and the progress of like the fact that finally there's use case for smart contracts, and I loved it, and I started using all those DeFi protocols. And then it was like kind of natural shift because of my background in cybersecurity and like exploiting stuff and finding vulnerabilities and security research together with Web3 and blockchain. So I think it was like a natural thing. It really triggered my interest. Like when I saw these attacks happening and started learning about all those different types of attacks, flash loan, reentry attacks. And I saw also the opportunity and the lack of resources, lack of trainers, lack of teachers, lack of good auditors. And that it was just a thing that's supposed to be happening. It's like I felt like it's my goal, you know, it's like some kind of like direction when you get, I don't know if you want to say from God, from the universe, or like when you know that you need to do something, when you know that you can bring the most amount of value and fill a gap. And that's how basically I decided to shift to Web3 security.
So that's basically a kind of like a transition which is like not enforced or so, like it's basically natural.
Yeah, it was a very natural transition based on the background.
Okay, that's great. So also like I've seen that you are having experience like with Ethereum, working with Ethereum as a Web3 dev and also as a blockchain researcher. So if you can briefly tell about that.
Do you mean my experience of like developing smart contracts?
No, actually like the Ethereum Foundation. I think you have worked for that as well.
No, maybe it's a mistake because on LinkedIn I tried to play with the profile and I wanted to add Ethereum them and probably just added Ethereum Foundation, but I never worked in Ethereum Foundation.
Okay. Yeah, that's totally all right. So basically, like as you have mentioned, like the attacks in the space that we are seeing, cybersecurity space. So like how are you seeing the cybersecurity attacks in the Web3 space particularly? Like we are seeing like rug pulls and scams. And in the Web2 space, like we have seen attacks like SQL injection, DDoS, etc. So like if you can draw a comparison between them, like how they are different or similar.
So the way I like to put it is that in Web 2, when you do cyber defense, you defend mainly information, right? You defend leakage of information, penetration to networks, stealing information, destroying information. So it's all about protecting the data, which is also very important and very important resource for companies and organizations and countries. The thing with Web3 is that you don't protect information, you protect assets, because those smart contracts hold billions and sometimes billions of dollars of assets. And just by finding one vulnerability, you can simply either steal all those assets or freeze them completely, which prevents others from using them. So that's another reason that I decided to move to Web3, because I feel that the influence that you have and over like the responsibility and the influence is much bigger than Web2 security. So you really defend real assets, real coins, real tokens, if it's Ether, if it's stable coins, if it's other tokens. And the most close cybersecurity attack from Web2 to Web3 where you can actually get hurt and steal assets is more like ransomware attacks, because in ransomware attacks, usually they blackmail the organization to pay some kind of crypto payment in order to get the decryption key or get the data. But it's still, it's all about the data. So if they had backup of the data, then they don't need to there is no financial impact of like paying money to blackmailers. And in Web3, the effect is immediate. Once the smart contract was hacked, that's it. The funds are gone. They're right away being mixed through to another cache or other products and services that allow that. And that's the main difference as I see it in Web 2 and Web 3 security, the impact that you can make as a security researcher.
Yeah, that's totally makes sense, a lot of sense. And also like as we are seeing the hot topic these days, like AI, like how you can see like it can affect the blockchain space, and also like how these two like modern technologies can come together to basically like do a lot of innovation, and I think we can eventually see to a new generation of tech revolution. So what are your views on that?
That's a very good question, and there have been a lot of discussions around this topic of like what's the place of AI in blockchain security. And I would say that AI is very beneficial, and I'm using a lot of ChatGPT for while working for plenty of stuff. It's still not good enough because it makes a lot of mistakes. And I shared, I think, one post in the past where I asked ChatGPT something about upgradable contracts. And then he said that Uniswap smart contracts are upgradable, and the admins can basically upgrade the pair smart contract and the factory smart contract, which is completely wrong because they are immutable and they are not upgradable. So you shouldn't count on ChatGPT and AI products while auditing. It might be better in the future, but for now, it doesn't seem like it replaces auditors or developers yet. It can be an amazing tool to help, but we always need to keep in mind that it might make mistakes because it's not perfect, and the auditing is a creative job, is a complex job that still at that moment is not being replaced by bots. With that said, it's a very useful tool, and I use it all the time if it's when I'm doing audits. So if I just throw a bunch of code and ask it to summarize it for myself, or maybe when I read the docs, I send just a huge paragraph and try to summarize it in one sentence. So it's very good for summarizing stuff and generating ideas. It's also very good for marketing and copywriting. I use it a lot for writing emails to clients. I use it a lot for communicating with other professionals in the street in a professional and official way. If it's to rewrite content, so when or maybe, instead of using Grammarly, I use ChatGPT to fix all the grammar mistakes and improve the language a bit. So it's very useful in my case for more like text-based tasks. So that's how I see it now. Of course, it might be better with GPT-4 and 5, but we are not there yet.
Yeah, totally. And also, like I have attended a Twitter space in which basically Patrick Collins was the co-host, and he has mentioned about your basically the course that you are providing, the smart contract auditing course. And the title of that Twitter space was how one can become a smart contract auditor. So if you can throw some light on that, how one can become a smart contract auditor, I think it will be great.
Yeah, I would love to. So actually, before I started working on a course, there wasn't a structured roadmap or structured training plan. Also practical, because if you go to YouTube, you watch videos or read articles, this is great, but it's not gonna get you the skills, the necessary skills to level up your skills so you can actually start participating in auditing contests, find bug bounties, or even get a junior smart auditing position. And there is a huge gap, because it's okay, it makes sense. It's new industry, it's new professionalism, and it's not like Web2 security where you have a bunch of courses and training programs and boot camps to help you become a penetration tester, to help you become a SOC analyst, a malware analyst, whatever. We don't have it yet in Web3. And I saw the amount of value that I can bring to the ecosystem with my expertise of education, of technical expertise, of cybersecurity, of blockchain security, and it was an opportunity that I could not pass. I decided to create this structured learning path where there is a syllabus with so many topics that are very relevant these days if you want to become a smart contract auditor and learn all the different hacks and vulnerabilities. And also, since it's a structured approach and every chapter is accompanied, it's together with hands-on exercises where you have let's say you learned about reentry, then you have 4 reentry exercises where you need to hack smart contracts with all kinds of reentry types. If it's flash loans, you're going to write your own flash loan together with Aave, and then you can use this flash loan to hack a lending protocol. So it's all hands-on, it's not just theoretical. And this was necessary for the space, and I just decided to take the responsibility and create something like this, and it's been great. The students are learning so much, they are so grateful. We have so many amazing reviews about the course, and I'm very grateful for every student that is actually taking this path and learning with us together in the community. We also have an amazing Discord community where students talk with each other, and they basically evolve as professionals together, with each other. If they have any questions, if it's regarding the exercises, regarding some technical subjects, or just even other questions about, some of them are doing continuously together with the course and auditing contests. So they share the progress, they talk with other people. So it's something that, wraps up your journey and gives you the full path of getting from a completely beginner to kind of intermediate, not to advanced, right? Because it's time limited course and it's already a lot of subjects, and there are so many things to talk about and to learn about Web3 security. It's never ending journey and never ended learning process, but it does take you from beginner to intermediate in a structured learning approach, fun way of hacking, engaging lectures, exercises, community, and eventually you're gonna also get a certificate, which is another important thing. There is no certified smart contract hacker like we have in Web2. In Web2 you have certified ethical hacker certificate or certified IR, and also we need some kind of certifications in the space, something that knows that you went through some kind of course, some kind of training program, you passed a test, and this is also something that we provide to the students.
Okay.
Now, regarding the prerequisites of the course, you cannot just take it if you have no idea in blockchain and you're just starting. You should have some background knowledge of blockchains, how they work, some basic programming languages experience, JavaScript, some experience in Solidity, and then you can take this course to transit into Web3 security and auditing journey path. Yeah.
Okay. So like I want to ask like, so like if somebody is basically developing a smart contract, so I think like it's not possible to audit like himself, right? If so actually if I am writing a code like a Solidity code, so is it possible for me to audit myself? I think that's not the case, right?
No, this is not the case, because it always works like this. Because if you're the developer, you think of your code in a certain let's say a box that is limited, right? Because you think that you implement this functionality in a way that you didn't see a way to exploit it. You don't look at it from an attacker perspective. Even if a developer, let's say he knows vulnerabilities in smart contracts and maybe even he took the course, it's still recommended to get another pair of eyes looking at the code and finding vulnerabilities, because it's always the same. It's also in Web2 security, in penetration testing, and you always have an external third party where look at your network, at your code, and tries to find vulnerabilities, because you are, as the developer, also biased, and also you're a bit limited on the way that you look at the code and the functionality that you implemented. So it's always recommended to get a third party, and that's why you have so many auditing companies and private auditors, and there is a lot of demand for this kind of service, if it's like in public auditing contests, if it's auditing firms or private auditors.